I really don't think the Secret Service is being very honest with us here. They claim to have shut down a cyber espionage operation of biblical proportions, capable of disrupting the United Nations and taking out New York City's entire cellular network. Also in your hacking news roundup, hacktivists say that they've disrupted the satellite communications of a whole fleet of cargo ships. But first, about that major national security threat. The Secret Service raided multiple locations throughout New York City and found them to be full of these things: SIM servers, in some cases stacked from the floor to the ceiling. Each server supports over 500 SIM cards, with them capable of sending SMSs and making phone calls en masse, pretty much anything a regular phone can do, but 500 times over. The feds even found a little stash of neatly stacked up SIM card holders. All this has totally blown the minds of the Secret Service. I mean, if you read their press release, you'd think they just stopped the next 9/11. Uncle Sam even made a dedicated YouTube video.
This network had the potential to disable cell phone towers and essentially shut down the cellular network in New York City.
Damn, that sounds pretty serious. But what's worse is the timing here. The UN General Assembly has been in session over the past week, and given the proximity, the Secret Service thinks that this is what the SIM servers could have targeted and DDoSed in some way. After the Secret Service put out their press release, mainstream media got super excited over this, and how apparently, according to some anonymous source, it was a Chinese plot to cripple the UN. And whilst you can understand why people are on edge following the actual hacking and espionage involving cell networks over the past year, the idea that this was some kind of espionage plot is almost certainly just total BS. But let's back up a bit. This whole investigation began after multiple threats were made to high-profile government officials via phone. The offending phone numbers were triangulated as coming from a certain building, which the feds raided, discovering this monster of a setup: 300 SIM servers and 100,000 SIM cards. And the early analysis does show that this setup has indeed been used by nation-state threat actors and criminals. But the reality is that this was probably not set up by a highly sophisticated nation-state threat actor to do espionage, as the New York Times would have you believe, but rather just some criminal organization who bought this equipment from China and then hooked it up to one of the countless services that sell access to US phone numbers. These services are often used by spammers so they can send, well, spam, ticket scalpers who need massive amounts of phone numbers to register Ticketmaster accounts en masse, or as it seems in this case, some idiots who decided to use it to send threats to politicians. There's a whole industry around SIM farms, as they're called, and renting a number from one often only costs a few cents to a couple dollars. The hardware here is really not that special. Expensive, yes, but special, no. You can buy one of these things from China for $4,000. In fact, they're quite literally marketed as the ideal choice for large-scale SMS campaigns, notifications, ticketing, and verification codes. But as for the idea that this setup could have DDoSed and effectively shut down the cellular network across New York City, that's one hell of a stretch. Each device might be able to house 512 SIM cards, but they only support using 64 of them simultaneously. The feds say that they seized 300 of these devices, so that gives us the raw power of around 19,000 phones. And in a city with a population of 9 million people, you're going to need a bit more firepower to overwhelm the whole city's network. In fact, it's not really clear how you could use any of this stuff for espionage at all. Hacking power doesn't come from just piling up a bunch of SIM cards any more than stacking up a bunch of CPUs does. The word propaganda is generally very overused, but this looks like just that. I mean, it's great that they shut down a SIM farm. You can't complain about a potential scam operation being shut down. That's good. But the framing here that this could have disrupted the UN and annihilated New York City's cellular network is almost certainly just total nonsense, invented to score some points with the media. It reminds me of when the British police seized a couple screwdrivers and a pair of scissors and hype it up into a photo opportunity as if they just prevented World War III. Whilst today's sponsor, Deleteme, can't prevent World War III either, they can help you take back control of your data from data brokers. Data brokers are companies that scoop up your personal data from all kinds of sources, packaging it up before selling it on to anyone willing to pay, a practice which is totally legal, by the way. This enables bad actors to buy your data from person search websites, often just for a couple bucks. And whilst you can manually opt out of data brokers, there are hundreds of them out there, so sign up to Deleteme and let them do the hard work for you. Just complete a quick profile so Deleteme knows what to look for, then within 7 days they'll compile a personalised report detailing what they found, and best of all, Deleteme automatically requests removal of the data on your behalf. And if you find your personal data on a site that Deleteme can't by default remove data from, you can shoot off a custom request to your personal privacy advisor, an actual real person by the way, who will make it their mission to have your data deleted. Earlier this year, Wirecutter named Deleteme as their top pick for data removal services, and Deleteme is giving you guys 20% off their eligible plans with my link down in the description. Deleteme is also international, serving multiple countries. Just make sure to click the correct link in the description to take back control of your data today. Next up, a hacker group says that they've crippled a fleet of 64 ships, 39 oil tankers and 25 cargo ships, all belonging to 2 Iranian companies. The group, Deleteme, definitely butchering that, claims that they hacked the ships through Fanover Group, the company which provided the ships with satellite communications. On their Telegram channel, Deleteme says that they infiltrated Fanover's data center. They leaked a screenshot showing what this whole setup looked like in practice. The Fanover network is connected to the shipping company, in this case National Iranian Tanker Company, via an intranet, both of which connect to the ship via a satellite link, which is made possible via one of these things on each individual cargo ship, an X7 router, or router for my American friends. Without any technical explanation, the group explains that they pivoted from the Fanover network to these X7 routers, sharing screenshots showing that they gained root access to the devices. Screenshots which also reveal that these things were running very old versions of Linux released over 15 years ago, which might have had something to do with how they managed to gain access in the first place. Once in, Deleteme made every effort to totally lobotomize these X7 units, running commands to overwrite key directories, rendering the things useless, cutting the ships off from the outside world. The group released a list of ships that they supposedly targeted, but it's unclear how much of an effect this had in reality, because this satellite link enables IP-based services, so weather reports, emails, and the crew's Netflix access were all presumably disrupted. But for core ship functions, there are typically backup systems, and if you cross-reference ships on this list to tracking websites, it does seem like the ships kept on shipping throughout all of this. As for the question of why go to all of this effort, the 2 shipping companies that Deleteme targeted are sanctioned by the US, accused of things like transporting nuclear materials for Iran's regime, allegedly, of course. Deleteme, which translates to sewn lips, first spawned in 2019 when they hacked an Iranian government threat group and leaked all their hacking tools on Telegram. Since then, they've spent their time being a bit of a pain in the backside of Iran's regime, which mainly just consists of doxing Iranian government employees rather than hacking cargo ships. As always, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.